Now it's time to play Real or Fake. Sometimes media people say things that are so bizarre that if you didn't hear it or see it, you wouldn't believe someone actually said that. So now Kennedy, host of The Independents, is here to test me. And Kate Rogers of FoxBusiness.com and Charles Payne of Making Money with Charles Payne. Which of us will be able to figure out the actual ridiculous things that reporters said from stuff my staff made up? And we invite you to play along at home. So, Kennedy, take it away.
Absolutely. Let's play America's favorite new game show, Real or Fake. Let's get started with quote number 1. A host of a well-known TV show recently said, quote, "If you exclude murders, Detroit actually has an extremely low crime rate." Is that real or fake? All three of you got that one wrong. That is fake.
It sounded so real.
But it's a good
I
one.
would have said it. I've never been in Detroit.
All right, here's quote number 2, talking about the IRS scandal, where the agency has admitted to giving extra scrutiny to Tea Party and conservative groups. One news anchor had a different take. She said, "In my mind, the IRS are the ones who have actually been targeted in this investigation." Is that real or fake? That is, in fact, real. MSNBC's Alex Wagner said it.
In my mind, the IRS, who was trying to get this out, they were the ones that have been actually targeted in this whole investigation.
Well, they were targeted after they did a wrong thing.
Al Capone said the same thing. What can I tell you?
He was targeted, man. That is rich. Real or fake? Here's quote number 3. A TV show host talking about Black Friday shopping said, in all seriousness, "Isn't it a little racist to call it Black Friday?" Is that real or fake? Oh, indeed, that is real.
Yes.
It's everyone's favorite economist, Joy Behar. She said it on The View. Take a look.
Isn't it a little racist to call it Black Friday?
Yeah. People should know that's when traditionally businesses went from the red into the black.
They get out of the red into the black. That's the first day of the year they start making money. And it's a great day for many retailers. Here's quote number 4. A young whippersnapper who recently got his very own TV show described his influences during his very first show. He said, quote, "I grew up watching the greats of TV news, Murrow, Cronkite, Colbert." Is that real or fake?
I think I know who said it.
I think I know too.
Who said it, Kate?
Ronan Farrow.
You did on MSNBC.
I grew up watching the greats of TV news, Murrow, Cronkite, Colbert.
I don't think that's so ridiculous. He's sort of making a joke, too.
It's with those dreamy lips, John.
I think Colbert is a great. Sometimes. He cracks me up.
Here's quote number 5. A host of a talk show on another network broke out this nugget while arguing in favor of strict gun control. Quote, "Every year that we keep guns in the hands of civilians, 50 million Americans lose their lives." Is that real or fake? That is, in fact, fake. I'm sorry, Charles. You did not get that one right. But, Kate, I think you're doing extremely well.
Thank you.
Let's keep moving on with quote number 6. Hurricane Sandy killed over 100 people, but one TV host wanted to see the glass half full, saying, quote, "I'm so glad we had that storm. It brought in possibilities for good politics." Real or fake?
Meaning worry about climate
I hope
change?
that's fake.
And John Stossel, that is why you are the master. That is real. That's a comment from MSNBC's Chris Matthews.
I'm so glad we had that storm last week, because I think the storm was one of those things. No, politically, I should say, not in terms of hurting people. The storm brought in possibilities for good politics.
Now we can all go bankrupt to pretend to prevent climate change.
Yeah, exactly. All right, number 7, real or fake? This is from a morning TV chat fest anchor basically saying, we're screwed. Quote, "Humans will be extinct in 200 years because of overpopulation." Is that real or fake?
It's too stupid. It just can't be real.
And it is too stupid. John, that's fake. Did I show you these before the show? Because I totally didn't mean to.
I'm already lodging a protest.
I did not know the question.
All right, here is the final quote in real or fake. It's a TV show host talking about global warming. And this host said, quote, "So I'm running in the park on Saturday thinking, this warm weather is great, but are we all going to die?" Is that real or fake? That is, in fact, real. That was Meredith Vieira on the Today Show.
I'm running in the park on Saturday in shorts thinking, this is great, but are we all going to die? You know, I can't figure this out.
Okay, good news, bad news. You all made the podium. Charles, you came in third. Kate, you were second. That means John Stossel,
yes.
you are the winner.
And she is right. We all are going to die at some point.
At some point we are, John. True, beautiful words. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kennedy, and Kate, and Charles. Coming up, I'll explain why the media get it so wrong.
I'm John Stossel, Channel 2 News consumer editor, and I'll have a report on some of the chemicals that they're putting into our food.
Hey, that hair was in style back then. And so was obsessing about chemicals put in food. Activists were certain the chemicals had caused a cancer epidemic. It turned out there was no cancer epidemic. Still isn't one. Most cancer rates are flat or down. Yet the media misled us so often that people still think there's a cancer epidemic. And of course you would if you listened to me. Here are some of the cancer scares I reported on and believed in. And of course I believed. So would you if you were a young reporter. Scientists we interviewed were alarmed. They had data that proved coffee causes pancreatic cancer and cell phones cause brain cancer. Other scientists were skeptical, but they were harder to interview. What was in it for them? What do they gain by taking time from their own research to try to educate stupid reporters? Plus, if they were quoted, they'd make enemies. It's easier just to avoid the media. So we talked to the activists, and we trusted them. They were like us. They wore blue jeans, and they wanted to protect people. There were some corporate scientists who were skeptical, and we'd interview them, but they'd be funded by business. They wore suits. Why would we trust them? And they were boring. Lawyers had told them, be careful when talking to the media. Plus, a scientist saying, we don't really have good evidence that coffee causes cancer. It's just not as interesting as one saying, coffee may kill you. So I reported the scares, not just cancer scares, these others too. If you hype things like that, people pay attention to you. CBS even ran this John Stossel consumer reporter commercial that made me look like a hero.
John Stossel is sort of like a guardian angel or something. I just have the feeling that he's going to keep me from making great mistakes.
That's me, your guardian angel. Bunk. Your guardian angel is a free and open society, one that allows the innovation that gives us longer lives and around the world has lifted 1 billion people out of poverty. But covering things like that is a problem for reporters because the press is biased toward government action. Think about it. You're a reporter assigned to cover some disaster. You go to a new town after a tornado or flood. You record the damage, interview victims, but then for the facts, the big picture, where do you go? To someone official, a police chief, a mayor, someone important. It's natural to turn to them, but government officials have a bias toward government solutions. It's a closed loop. Press goes to government for information, and the information it gets implies government's the answer. This is a bad cycle. And finally, one more reason we get it wrong is that it's hard to cover things that happen slowly. The plane crash, the war, that's easier. The reporter can see what he's reporting on. He knows where to go. Compare that to science that lengthens lives or innovation that lifts people out of poverty. That happens constantly all over the world, but I don't know where to point my camera. Recently, President Obama said this.
The world is less violent than it has ever been. It is healthier than it has ever been. It is more tolerant than it has ever been.
He was mocked for saying that, but the president was absolutely right. Despite the violence in the Middle East, the world today is less violent than it used to be. Here's a graph of deaths from war. Also, people are healthier than ever and more tolerant. Let's not underestimate that. In just a few decades, life has improved dramatically for blacks, gays, and women. Check out this newspaper story from last century. For and against wife beating. Votes for women put in background. Whether to beat your wife is the latest controversy. Dr. Waugh says, beat her. She needs it. Mrs. Samuels explains, it's well known that women love most the men who are cruel to them. Today, we consider that absurd and harmful, but how would a reporter cover that change in attitude? Maybe today in Pittsburgh, 6 people changed their opinion about wife beating. But that's crazy. The reporter wouldn't know who they were, and even if he did, these gradual changes are not what people consider news. The news is broken. Not just because we're politically biased, but because most good news and most important news happens slowly.